Welcome back to Zero Ambiguity. So, who won last week's presidential debate between Harris and Trump? Well, that's your opinion. That's my opinion. I'm going to do a reaction video to the debate. I'm going to play the entire debate and I'm going to comment to their comments and to what they're talking about and to their different positions and political ideology as the video is playing to bring clarification and also to see if what they're saying is going to actually benefit and help us or not, actually seeing what they're saying is true or not true. So let's get right into it. So I'm going to go ahead and start as they're walking out onto the stage. Looks like they're both walking out right now. She's walking up to Donald Trump. Oh, and she extends her hand to shake his hand. That's pretty classy. Respectful. I like that.
Welcome to you both. It's wonderful to have you. It's an honor to have you both here tonight.
Good evening. We are looking forward to a spirited and thoughtful debate.
So let's get started. I want to begin tonight with the issue that voters repeatedly say is their number one issue, and that is the economy and the cost of living in this country.
That's on everyone's mind.
Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago?
Are you better off?
When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
Let's hear this.
So I was raised as a middle-class kid. And I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America.
Let's hear it.
I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing. And the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time.
$6,000.
So that those
That's
young
good.
families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. I was actually, my mother raised my sister
I'm
and
a
me,
small business owner.
but there
Let's
was a
hear it.
woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our
too.
small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction
Wow.
to start-up small businesses,
startups, but that's still
knowing
good.
they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a
Trump's sales tax. Never heard of
20%
that.
tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists
that
have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about
think she might be talking
$4,000
about the
more
tariffs.
a year, because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
President Trump, I'll give you 2 minutes.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries.
That's
Other
it.
countries are going
I
to
thought
finally,
so.
after
Let me
75
pause it
years,
here.
pay us back for all that we've done for the world.
So,
And-
I mean, if you've never heard of the word tariff, a tariff is when you tax goods from a foreign country that comes into our country for sale. Let's say like an automobile or a cell phone or something of that nature. So what happens is if you add an extra tax onto that particular good from China, from Russia, wherever the good come from, then what that does is supposed to cause us as consumers, American consumers, to possibly buy our own product that's supposed to be priced a little less. So let's say this laptop is made in China, but it costs like $200, but this same laptop that's made in America only costs $100. So what that's supposed to do is encourage us Americans to buy our own products. But what that's supposed to allow is for that money, net revenue, to come back into our economy, because basically we're buying more American products than foreign products. So I think what Kamala Harris was saying when she mentioned that tax was, of course, a lot of these goods come from China and other countries, so they're going to be more expensive for us to buy. But we don't have to buy those goods. It's kind of like going to Walmart or Target or some store like that, and you see a good on the shelf. It's the same exact product, but it's priced $50 less. So what are you going to do? You're going to buy the product that's $50 more or $50 less. And that product that's priced $50 less is an American product, and that goes back into our American economy. So I don't know. The play of words here, kind of a little deceptive right there off the bat. But this is what politicians do. So let's hear Trump's rebuttal. Let's keep listening.
We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because there was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums.
Now,
and
I
they're
know
coming
you had
in.
mentioned this before, that the migrants are coming into our country and taking jobs from African-American workers. And there are a lot of African-Americans that are doctors and lawyers and professionals, but there are many African-Americans and Hispanics that do jobs like side hustle jobs like DoorDash, Uber Eats, and those are the jobs that are currently available to them right now, the migrants. So because they can't get really regular jobs, and many of them are not skilled and they don't have really all of the qualifications to do more professional type jobs. So he's sort of right in that, even though I don't understand what does this have to do with inflation. I mean, the question was about inflation, bringing it down from up here to something lower. But, obviously, of course, we know that we pay a lot of money, to house the migrants and to feed them with government assistance. But, I don't know how this basically plays in with the economy or with, inflation. But let's move on. Let's listen.
So unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that Xi and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality, and we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
We are going to get to immigration and border security during this debate, but I would like to let Vice President Harris respond on the economy here.
Well, I would love to. Let's talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us
Wasn't COVID
the worst
happening then?
attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess. What we have done and what I intend to do is
Clean up
build
COVID?
on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell you all in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook,
Go again.
a bunch of lies, grievances,
Politics.
and name-calling. What you're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected
disavowed
again.
himself from Project 25.
I believe very strongly
think
that the
3 or 4
American
different
people
times he says
want
this.
a president who understands the importance of bringing us together, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
Well, I understand
President
she's
Trump will
giving a
give you a minute
speech
to
right here, but if Trump said on numerous occasions that he's disavowed himself from Project 2025, you keep mentioning it like he was the author of it, he was the instigator of it. This man has said on many occasions that he has nothing to do with Project 2025, yet the media is constantly trying to link him and his administration to this particular document that was written by, I think, a very right-leaning organization. And actually, this document has been around since Ronald Reagan, but they want to continuously link him to this Project 2025 and what's written in that document. And he's said over and over again now, if I write something for President Trump, and he says, you know what, I don't know you. I don't want to have anything to do with what you just said. He basically distanced himself from me. I'm going to be very offended by that because I thought me and him were buddies. And he's going to look foolish if after he becomes president, he starts to embrace Project 2025. He's going to look like a liar. And he doesn't want to look like a politician. This is what he ran on, 8 years ago, that he's not your ordinary politician. So I sort of believe Trump when he says he's distancing himself and he doesn't have anything to do with 2025. Let's hear what his response is.
Trump will give you a minute here to respond.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas, I guess some good, some bad, but it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did before. We had the greatest economy. We got hit with a pandemic. And the pandemic was not since 1917, where
Right.
100 million people died, has there been anything like it. We did a phenomenal job with the pandemic. We handed them over a country where the economy and where the stock market was higher than it was before the pandemic came in. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We made ventilators for the entire world. We got gowns, we got masks, we did things that nobody thought possible.
True.
And people give me credit for rebuilding the military. They give me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs they got were bounce back jobs. These were jobs
That's
bounced
true.
back, and it bounced back and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
Vice President Harris,
Right.
I'll let you respond.
So Donald Trump has
See, that's a very good point that he just made. Bounce back jobs, meaning what happened was, of course, people forget that we were in a pandemic, a global pandemic, COVID-19. So a lot of industries, the restaurant industry, for example, had to lay a lot of people off. But once the vaccine was created and they began to vaccinate people, this is right around the time that Trump, he wasn't reelected. Then the Biden administration took over right around the time that the vaccine was created. In December, I think they started to vaccinate people, and so a lot of industries could open up again and rehire people back. Those are called bounce back jobs. So it looks like jobs were lost during his administration, Trump's administration, and then it looks like when President Biden took over as president that those jobs came back, or that the jobs were increased. They were not new jobs; they were just simply rehires. And why are we sitting here, with a play on words and thinking that American people don't have an IQ above 85 to understand this? This is what I'm so disappointed about the Democratic Party or politicians, is that they assume that a lot of American people have an IQ under 85 or something, that we are not intelligent enough to catch these gaps. But, maybe they're betting on that. They're right. Maybe they're betting that the American people are just distracted by pop news and hip hop artists and pop stars like Taylor Swift and things of that nature, that we don't have the time to focus on facts. But clearly right here, he's bringing up that the truth is that these are bounce back jobs. And Kamala, you are a lawyer, you are an attorney, you're well educated. To come like that seems a little bit, sleight of hand. So anyway, let's get back into the debate. This is what I kind of expected, but I was hoping not that they wouldn't go down this road. But it is what it is.
So Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse, mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that
must
would
be right if
increase
all the
inflation and by the
college-educated
middle of
people say
next
so.
year would invite
be
a
right.
recession. You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
Boom. Wow. A sound bite.
I went to the Wharton School of Finance, and many of those professors, the top professors, think my plan is a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for our country. And just to finish off, she doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4
Wow.
sentences that are just, oh, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.
Wow, wow, wow. I am
Mr.
going
President,
to.
I do want to drill down on something.
I'm going to stop it right here. I mean, this looks like this debate is going to be full of, I don't know, one-liners and, punches and jabs. And like I said, I'm looking for something that is substantive that's going to show me how they're going to bring down the cost of gas from way up here from $3, $4, $5 down to $2. But I'm not sure if the debate's going to actually go in that direction. But I'm going to only comment on this section of the debate because I don't want it to be too long-winded on Facebook and on YouTube. So, so far, what do you think? I know some of you actually watched the debate from the beginning to the end. Why don't you chime in and tell me what you think about this part of the debate? Do you think that they answered the moderator's questions? Do you think that the moderator was being friendly towards both of the candidates, or biased towards one of the other candidates? Chime in and let me know. Thank you for tuning in to my YouTube channel, Zero Ambiguity. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.